You're listening to Money Making Mothers with Carla Edwards, where we discuss the highs and lows of being a working parent, how to master the art of spinning plates, and remind ourselves that just because you became a mother does not mean your dreams no longer exist. You can have it all.
Hi everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Money Making Mothers, where I was joined by Jennie Brookes. She works in the financial industry, she's an absolute sweetheart, and she's been through some very low times during motherhood. A lot of people will be able to relate. It's very emotional. However, it just shows that if you stay determined and stay focused, you can still do anything you put your mind to.
Hi, I'm Jennie Brookes. I'm a single parent. I've got a daughter called Hollie, who's 3, and I'm a self-employed mortgage and protection advisor.
Great. So thanks very much, Jennie, for coming on today to be a guest. I'm really excited to have you on because I know your story is very unique. First of all, I just want to start by asking why you do what you do.
Well, I've been a mortgage advisor. I was employed before I had my daughter, and I just love the whole process of getting first-time buyers and moving into a new house. It's always really exciting. And then the protection side of things, I used to sell the protection because it was my job. But since I've had Hollie, and she's been poorly, I've realised how important it is, and now I sell it because I know there's a need. And I see it as more important than the mortgage.
Yeah, so you have more of a personal relatability to the product now than before.
Yeah.
So what did happen with Hollie?
So Hollie was diagnosed with leukemia at 8 weeks old. So we just went for the routine GP checkup, and they said that she looked pale and she had like an enlarged spleen, which at the time I didn't even know what a spleen was. They said they were going to check her bloods, and they kind of just played it down a bit in like looking back, saying that it was probably going to be like anemia or something like that. And I really wasn't phased. I just thought, oh, anemia is like easily treatable, I presumed. Yeah. And then we had to go to the hospital to have blood tests, and it was just like the worst day of my life when she was diagnosed, when it was literally from the morning GP routine a checkup to that night being rushed in an ambulance to Sheffield Children's Hospital and being told that she had leukemia.
Oh my God. What's so in between, like the doctors and the hospital? Did they not give you any inkling of what was going on? Was it?
No, because I think looking back, I think the GP knew, but he obviously couldn't say for a definite and didn't want to tell me on my own, sat there with my daughter when I thought she was perfectly fine. So he said obviously he thought it was anemia, but we need to get blood tests. And then when we went from the GP to the local hospital, and we kind of waited around for tests for ages, and trying to get a blood test out of an 8-week-old baby, I mean, that's traumatic in itself. And then we were told, we won't get the tests back for like a few hours. So we're literally like, we've literally been at the hospital all day waiting for these tests. And then so we went to like the cafe, and we were just waiting there because we thought, we're not sitting on this ward for another 3 hours. And they came back to us and they said, it's not worked, we're going to have to do it again. And like, oh my God, because it was so traumatic, like getting the blood, like she had 2 cannulas in her feet and they're trying to get them out of her hands as well. And so they did it again, and then we were soon told, we just waited on the ward that time. We went in like the parent room in the kitchen, and they came in and they told us that she had leukemia.
And how I don't even know how to ask that question, to be honest, but how on earth did you even process that? Because I can't even comprehend.
To be honest, I didn't. I'd heard of leukemia before, but I didn't know what it was at all. And the first thing I said was, is that cancer? And then there was like, yeah. And then in my mind, all I was thinking is, right, what's the next steps? What are we doing next? So it wasn't like you know, in my mind, I just needed a plan. I needed to know what the plan was and what was happening. So this, I was breastfeeding as well. So it was like, I couldn't leave her to go and kind of, you know, to do anything. I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. First thing I did was ring my mum and tell her. I was with, we're not together anymore, but I was with Holly's dad as well at the same time, and obviously him processing it as well. Yeah, so they literally said, we've got to go to Sheffield Children's Hospital as a matter of like urgency.
Like, there and then?
Yeah, it was literally like, we need to put Holly in a drip. We need to give her antibiotics straight away. I was like, oh, I just, yeah. And in my head, I was thinking I need to go home and pack a bag. Like, I knew that once we got to Sheffield, I just knew that, you know, we'd be there, and we were there for 5 weeks. I didn't leave for the first 5 weeks, and all I wanted to do was take her in my car and like go together. And we weren't even allowed to do that. She had to go in ambulance. We were blue lighted, so yeah, it was horrendous.
8 weeks check to that, and I don't even, obviously as a mother, I can't even imagine how you digest that, because it's the worst nightmare, isn't it? Like, I was only saying to someone yesterday about that overwhelming feeling you get as a mother, where, and I know everyone does it, but it's not nice to speak about, but where you're like, you worry that they're going to be all right, you have bad thoughts, you're constantly checking on them all the time, especially when they're so little. So for it to actually be confirmed, I can't even imagine how you...
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, that morning, I was thinking, how have I gone from this morning thinking I've got a perfectly healthy baby to being in Sheffield Children's Hospital that night? And like, we arrived at 11:30 at night. It was the longest day in the world. And I just could, yeah, it took so long to digest it all and kind of think of what's happening next and what's the process.
What did happen then? Like, obviously, I know I don't want you to go through every single thing because it'll be so traumatic for you, but what happened, and how is she now, and how has it gone?
So I'll do the short version because we'll be here all day. The next day she basically had to go down to theatre, put her to sleep, and do a lumbar puncture, which is basically a bit like an epidural into the spine to get fluid to see what type of leukemia it was. She also had a Brobiat line fitted in her chest, which is like a tube direct to her heart. So instead of having like cannulas and stuff all the time, it's like a permanent cannula coming out of her chest. Yeah. So she had that fitted, and we were told it would take, like, once they got all the results, it would take like 3 days, like over the weekend, to get the results to confirm what leukemia it was and then what treatment she'd be having. So short story is, she had 4 rounds of chemo. It was really successful. So diagnosis was June the 24th, and I always remember it because it's the 11th of the 11th. She was coming home and she'd had all of her chemo, and that was the last chemo, 11th of the 11th. So literally from June to November, we was in and out of hospital. The first 8 months of our life.
That's just, and I don't want to be intrusive, but in terms of like bonding and being like, did that have any effect on like you as a mother?
Yeah, I mean, I breastfed, and I was brutally honest, like, I hated breastfeeding. I was near enough giving up before she was diagnosed. I just found it so painful, so like demanding all the time that I had to do everything. And because it was so painful, it wasn't like a nice experience for me. But I knew it was the best for her, and obviously I've always had it drilled in.
If you can do it, it's amazing. But like for you, like I was the same.
Yeah,
absolutely excruciating for the entire time. So yeah,
yeah. And then obviously when she was diagnosed, I was like, well, this is the only good thing I can do. This is the only thing in my control that I can do to help her. So we did always have that, like the breastfeeding thing. And because I was breastfeeding, we got to sleep in the same bed in the hospital. So I did find it was me and her a lot of the time, and it did kind of push her dad out. And I can see that now, that I stayed in the hospital every night. I mean, towards the end, there was the odd time when I'd kind of stopped breastfeeding that he stayed over, or my mum stayed over to give me a bit of a break. But yeah, it was all kind of relied on me because I was breastfeeding.
And is everything in terms of now? Is she signed off now? Is everything like?
And we still have. So we've moved house to be nearer my family, and we have 4 months. So we've moved hospitals to the RVI, and we have now a 4 monthly checkups. So she's still in remission for 5 years. So even after 5 years, there's always a chance to come back. But as time goes on, it's less and less. So yeah, we just.
And how is it when you go for those? God, I bet you can't bear going like to the doctors.
Yeah, well, it was like that at the beginning, but now you kind of know if she's. They always say you'll know, like you don't need to go to an appointment to find it's come back. The symptoms, she will be generally unwell before, so you would know. It's not necessarily unwell that you would know, but you'd know that she was off, and you'd think, or maybe there's a chance. But if she's perfectly fine, healthy and well, and you go for a checkup, then there's very slim chance it'll have come back because it would affect her.
Yeah, more
before then.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank God that she's okay now and doing well. She must be an absolute fighter, bless her. Does she know? She told her, like, do you think she knows? Obviously, I know she's only young still, but is she aware at all?
I don't think she's aware, but then she has got this like obsession with doctors and nurses and likes to dress up. And I think, I wonder if this is why. And then like she'll see, like Time Hop on your phone. She's always looking at my phone, and like she'll see a picture with a tube in her mouth, in her face, like coming out the nose, and she'll be like, "What's that?" And I'll just say, "Oh, it's a plaster." Like I don't obviously want to let her know things like that now. And yeah, I mean, we went to a play centre the other day, and there was another little girl who had leukemia, and she had no hair. She was like 4 or 5, and Holly just like became attached to her, and they were like playing like amazingly the whole time. And I honestly feel like she's got a sixth sense. I know it's crazy, but sometimes I think maybe she can remember a little bit.
Yeah, she'd probably be more aware than you think she is, but just takes it in a stride. So in terms of, obviously, not just that, because that must have been, I'm presuming you weren't working then, surely.
No, so obviously I was on maternity leave. So before I went off maternity leave, I was employed. So I was on maternity leave, and I was due to come back to work in the January. She only finished treatment in November, but even though she finished treatment in November, she still needed like blood transfusions and like 3 weekly checkups all through December, and she didn't actually have a Brookes line removed until the 4th of January. So there's no way I was going back to work. I'd lost 6 months. So yeah, I had 6 months off sick on statutory sick pay, and luckily I did have like critical illness cover in place. At the time I didn't even know that it covered children. When I took it out, I didn't have children, so it wasn't something that I knew about. And so luckily I did have that, so I had that bit of financial support to allow me to have the extra 6 months off work.
To have the rest of your maternity in a more normal capacity.
And we'd missed out on like any like baby groups or like socializing with other babies, everything like that. So I just wanted the next 6 months to do that really and get into some sort of normality if possible.
So now obviously you're back at work and things are more of a normal situation. How do you find juggling work and motherhood?
It's a lot better. When I first started, so after maternity I went self-employed, and it was really hard at the first because Holly was in nursery 2 days a week, but that was the only support I had, because I wasn't near family or anything. So yeah, it was really hard to juggle work. Like having appointments that aren't just 9 to 5, or the evening weekend appointments is literally impossible. So it was really difficult. So I did really struggle. Now it's a lot better. Holly goes to nursery 3.5 full days a week, so I've got a lot more time to kind of go like full time, if you like. That's my full time anyway. And I'm near my mum and my sister, so they help out with childcare, so it's so much better.
And is Holly's dad, like, does he help? Is he involved?
He does, but he's not local now, and he works away a lot, so as much as he can, he does, but it's hard with him working away.
Yeah, so it's not like guaranteed childcare all the time.
No, I couldn't just work when he has him, because it'd be like once a month.
What is it like in terms of being able to get on with your job and like focus on your career? Have you been able to do that now? Yeah,
so one of the things I said when I went, so before I left my job, I went into my old job, and I remember saying to the the area manager, I don't think I'm going to be able to do my job anymore. I can't even talk about critical illness cover or cancer or anything without crying. So I said, have you got anything else? Can I be admin? Or it was in an estate agent, so I was like, can I be a negotiator or something? And they literally said to me, Jenny, just do what you're good at. And I was thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Like, I can't even imagine, like, now obviously I can talk about it without crying, but it took me a long time, and like this last 6 months has really been a turning point for me. Before the last 6 months, I wouldn't really mention Holly and Holly's, like, what's happened, because I didn't want people to feel sorry for me. I didn't want them to take critical illness cover out just because they felt sorry and they had to. Now I make it more of like, this is what's happened, and it can be happened to anyone. So it's just kind of realising that the need for it, really, and that it is so important, and kind of explaining what's happened.
Been the turning point for you then?
I don't know. Obviously, it was the beginning of lockdown. With work, we did lots of like training and seminars and things. And lockdown was obviously a big thing for everybody. But for me, it was like I couldn't control anything to do with the cancer and when Holly had cancer. But lockdown, I could keep her in the bubble, and she was safe. So yeah, it was hard. It was really, really hard, because we literally didn't see anybody for the first 6 weeks. My mum was doing our shopping, leaving it on the doorstep. Like, we didn't leave the house, and it was Holly's birthday as well. So it was really, really hard. But at the same time, I was like, we're safe in our bubble. We're going to be okay. And then gradually, obviously, grandparents were allowed to help and things like that. And the first time I went to the shops, I was like so nervous. But yeah, I think honestly, I feel like I've had is it PTSD, and I've only just realised. So I haven't had any help, like medication or anything like that, and I've never even realised I was suffering with it until I've kind of actually started talking about it, actually. And I do on my Instagram, I've done all the story of Holly and Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and the more I talk about it, it's like therapy to me. It seems to help so much.
Do you think, I don't want to be intrusive, but do you think...
Honestly, ask me anything, it's fine.
Because I think there's a lot of people out there who have suffered with traumatic events like you have, and don't realise that they've got PTSD, just think they're just sad, or just think that they've got, they can't get over it, when really they need help. Is there anything like triggers or anything that you think, well, you need to put yourself first a bit and look at, how you've been affected by it as well?
Yeah, and at the time, I remember, like, everyone used to say, like, all your friends and family are lovely, but nobody knows what to say. It's like one of them awful things, isn't it? You don't know what to say. But people will be always asking about Holly and how she is. So because nobody was actually asking how I am, I was like, well, there's nothing wrong with me. Nobody's asking. Do you know what I mean? If someone kept saying, are you all right? Are you okay? Then maybe I'd stop and think, maybe I am or maybe I'm not. But it was always, how's Holly doing? Which obviously it should be. She's the main priority. But yeah, I honestly don't know. I would say that talking about it really, really helps. And I know that's cliche because everybody says that, but if you actually talk about the experience, I feel like now I've just told a load of people the biggest secret I had. And, when it's just like a sense of relief. It's like, oh, that's how it feels.
It's like all coming out.
Yeah, all the emotions coming out, everything we went through as well. Because at the time, I didn't share anything on Facebook or no pictures or anything like that, whereas some people do, and it's their coping mechanism at the time, and it works. But at the time, I couldn't do anything. All I could focus on is, we were given we were told that she only had 50 to 60% chance of survival.
Oh no.
So the last thing I wanted is to post pictures online or send them to my friends of her looking poorly, because I didn't want that to be the lasting memory. And now obviously she's doing amazing, so I feel like I can share it and hopefully help people.
Yeah, because what obviously I just said there's a lot of people who've gone through similar things who don't, I think they sort of shut off their emotion from what's actually happening, and they're just focusing on, we need to make sure that the baby's all right or the little one's getting better. But the effect it can have on you afterwards and during, sort of unspoke about quite a lot.
Definitely, it's really like, I'm quite open and honest, and like, I'm not ashamed to say that I've suffered with it. There are people that I know that are kind of defense mechanism up, not willing to accept that they need help, things like that, and I think it just boils up in you, and it's not good at all. I would say definitely speak to anybody about it.
So in terms of the journey that you've had so far, obviously I know that everything we've just spoke about must have been difficult, but what's been the most difficult?
Financially, and like getting myself, before I had Hollie, I was always like a career person, and I really thought, I don't know if, I really wanted Hollie, and Hollie was not an accident, like Hollie was planned, so it wasn't like that. But I really thought, how am I going to juggle being a career person and a mother? And I really, really did struggle with that at the beginning, taking like a low income, being self-employed when I started out, and I'm really like amazed that I've actually made it. Now I'm more successful than I was full time, so employed. So I'm like really pleased that it's happened, but it was a real struggle, and there are times that I've thought, I just need to get like a part-time employed job, just so I know that money's stable every month.
So what gave you the balls, shall I say, of going self-employed from being employed? Because it is a massive jump and it is scary to do it.
It is, but at the time, because I was on maternity and I was literally living on, like, my income was statutory sick pay, and a car allowance, which I got from my previous job. So that was about £500 a month. Yeah. So literally, I thought, going self-employed, if I earn that much a month at the beginning, I can live. Yeah. Obviously, I had other income that was bringing in, like, enabling me to help with my bills and stuff. But yeah, all I wanted was £500 a month to keep me going.
And how has it been, like, in terms of keeping that momentum with being self-employed? Because you've got to stay motivated, haven't you, when you're self-employed? Because there's only you pushing yourself to do it.
Yeah, there is, but now I'm part of a team. It is amazing. So I am part of like a financial team, and it does feel like a team, even though we're self-employed. There are, like, I know it sounds silly, but like leaderboards and targets, and you can see your commission, and that motivates me. And helping people, like, all my clients are from friends, referrals. Now I've just taken on an introducer recently, which is an estate agent, which is my friend, which is amazing. But most of my, like, clients are friends and family referrals. So I don't feel like I'm doing a job, because all I'm doing is helping a friend out. You see what I mean?
And you're walking advertisement for what you do, really, aren't you? Because, it helped you. And again, the awareness. I mean, the awareness is so bad in terms of, especially for children's critical illness. And at least one good thing to come from it is that you can help others and hopefully be able to show them, how they can protect themselves. And like you luckily had done yourself as well.
Yeah, I just, it's the most important thing, protecting your family. And I do sell it as it's a family protection. It's not just you. The critical illness covers your whole family. So if you think it's a little bit expensive, it's covering 4 of you. It's not just covering two of you or one of you. It's covering the whole family, so it puts it into perspective. And to be honest, I had my policy 3 years before I claimed, and I didn't really pay much money to actually compared to what I've got back. So
yeah. But that's obviously gives you some inspiration to keep going and hit the targets. And because self-employed, like me personally, if you aren't, you've got to really push yourself all the time. And even if you do have a bad day or you don't do as well as you think you should have done, like me, for when I feel guilty and I take it really to heart, you know, like it has more of an effect than if I was just going to work, getting paid, come home, and then that's the end of it. It's with you 24/7 all the time. So obviously with you being a single parent as well and everything that you've gone through, it's quite a lot to juggle at one point on your own.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I am really lucky that we've got obviously the team, but I do get a lot of referrals, and it does knock you if somebody doesn't use you, and it's like, well, why wouldn't you?
Why not?
But people do go direct to the banks and things like that, and you're not going to win them all. But it's my friend. It's like you've just got to like take the rough with the smooth, because it is a roller coaster, but the highs are much better than the lows. So you just have to keep going.
So in terms of questions, this is the last one. It's my favourite one. If your children, or for you, if Hollie was to learn anything from you, what would it be and why?
I thought about this one actually, and it's ironic because I think she's taught me what I'm just about to say. So if we're going for our experience, I've been thinking that what I want to make sure is that she's always independent, so she can always look after herself, not relying on anybody. Never take your health for granted, which obviously she has totally taught me that, and never give up.
So elaborate on them. So why them?
I've always been like a career person and independent, and I feel like that's a good trait to have. You don't want to rely on anybody financially, or obviously parents and things are different, but in terms of like relationships and partners, if you can stand on your own 2 feet, you don't need somebody. You can financially look after yourself, then that's, you know, gives you the independence that you need. Never take your health for granted.
Why do you think that's been so important to you, to be independent?
Because I've had to be independent. I've had to earn all my own money. And don't get me wrong, I've had help from family, and obviously I've had the insurance, but actually for me paying my bills, it's all me. Yeah. And juggling it with a child as well does mean that not only have you got to pay bills, you've also got to pay like your nursery fees, and then like children are obviously more expensive, so it's not just looking after yourself.
Fees, aren't they? Really.
And then like extra like curricular activities that Hollie's doing and things, I do spend all my money on her. Like, she deserves everything, and I'm going to give it her. And then the health thing, that's obviously speaks for itself, but I've tried to be a lot more healthier. I never smoked, I don't smoke, but I don't drink as much. I'm trying to do so over October, and just trying generally to be healthier, and never give up, because obviously that gets you nowhere.
No, you've got to. And when you've gone through what you've gone through, you know, giving up you don't really have an option to do that, do you? Especially
everybody used to say like, I don't know how you coped, and we were just like, well, you don't have a choice. Like, there is no getting up and giving up. You can't just walk out and I've had enough, see ya. And I couldn't do that with my job either. Like, you've got to keep a roof over your head, and you've got to, it's not just you, your children rely on you, don't they? So
Do you struggle with like, because I have like mum guilt. Do you think your mum guilt was because of what
100%, yeah. So much. When I first put Holly in nursery, she was 14 months, and it was only for 2.5 days a week, and I felt like I shouldn't be doing that. I felt like she was too young to go to nursery, but at the same time I was like, well, she needs to like interact with the children. I know it's good for her, but I do fear the guilt, and also I've always got the fear of the cancer coming back. So I'm always feeling like I should be spending every single minute with her, but then reality kicks in, and I think, yeah, but I also need to give her the good life, and I need to have the money. I need to work to have the money to be able to give her a good life. So it is hard, and I do get it all the time now, because if I've got an evening appointment, I'm like, Mum, can you have Holly for 2 hours while I just ring this client? And yeah, I do feel like, oh, I should be the one putting her to bed, and I should be, you know, entertaining her for 2 hours. But you have to, don't you? It's just what you do.
It's like, not only that, like we said about giving her a good life, you've got to, I suppose, if you lived through the mum guilt, in terms of you've got to spend every minute with her, and if, God forbid, touch wood, the cancer ever came back, but at the same time you've got to have normality, don't you? And you've got to show.
Yeah, and you can't live in fear. I've learned that now. Like, I've lived in fear for a good year, and it just gets you down, and it doesn't make you appreciate every day and have fun if you're constantly feeling like that. So
that's the bit that I admire you the most for, is because you're saying it, like, to say that you're saying it's only been the last 6 months that you can speak about it, you're doing absolutely amazing. Because I don't, I know that you're going to have lived in fear, but that must stay with you for quite a long time. I mean,
it is. And you know what, it's we did a Zoom with work, and Joe Thompson was on it. I don't know if you remember, the footballer.
Yeah,
He'd gone through cancer twice, and it was him that, and honestly, and I even messaged him direct, it was like him that gave me the thing, that the like motivation to speak about it. And like at the time I actually messaged him saying, God, I don't know how you can speak about it. Like, I can't even speak about it without crying. And that must have been February time, March maybe. But yeah, I have spoke about it a lot. I've oh, sorry.
All right.
Can you see me? Sorry, my
battery
nearly died. Yeah, it gave me motivation. I thought, you know what, probably to get over this, I need to speak about it more. So I have a lot.
Unbelievable. Honestly, you'd have never thought that was only 6 months ago. Like, it, just even speaking to you beforehand and speaking to you there, it's, you speak about it with, you know, it's more like you're trying to make people aware of what has happened, rather than living through the emotion of what did happen.
Yeah. If you'd have asked me like a year ago to do this, I'd have been like, no way, I can't do it without crying.
There's nothing wrong with crying anyway. You bloody hell. Every right to cry about it. I'm sure you do cry about it sometimes, but you're doing a very good job of being extremely strong, and Holly is very, very lucky to have you as her mum. Very lucky.
Oh, thank you.
So if anyone, you know, wants to know, I know you said that you didn't put a lot of it on social media and things like that, but I'm presuming you are gonna, you know what you said there about the children's awareness as well. Where would people be able to have a look and find you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, I've got an Instagram, and the story's there, and I'm always putting awareness about it on there. Do you want me to tell you that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Jennie, Jennie 1688. It's just my personal one, but I do have it open public. I use it for work, and it is, yeah, I do talk about Holly's cancer a lot on there, and there's a lot of awareness and things. So
I'm just thinking if there's people listening who may be going through something similar, that you might be able to you know, give them a bit of hope and
absolutely. I'm always like, it's like you've got a connection. It sounds awful, but it's like the group that you never want to be in. But if you speak to another cancer mum, they're the only people that know what you're going through and what you're really thinking. And yeah, we have like, yeah, made a lot of friends on the ward when we were going through it.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and to say that you're a single mum working, building your own business, and have gone through what you've been through, you and Holly together, is just so inspiring, and I am really grateful that you've shared your story and you've done it so well. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So I hope everyone's enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you later, love.
Thank you.
You have been listening to the Money Making Mothers podcast with Carla Edwards. If you have enjoyed the show, then leave a 5-star review on iTunes. Make sure to tune in next time, and don't forget, you can have it all.